So we released a new horror short, and we were actually crazy enough to make it about water. Somehow it all worked out, and there's a ton to talk about this little short film, so I will be taking you through how we made our short film, Shallow. This film was a huge challenge because of one main reason, which is water. See, the tricky thing about filming water on a flat surface is that if you don't position the light the correct way, then it just won't reflect anything off the light and just won't show up in camera, so this was something that took a lot of thought and planning. I took a bunch of test shots, but quickly realized that when lighting the scene normally, the water didn't show up in the shot at all since there were no light reflections going against it. I had to compromise the lighting to fix this by positioning the light directly across from the camera and putting it as low to the ground as possible. This now made the water visible on camera, and I ended up just using this test footage in the actual shots since it looked pretty good. To make the splashes appear, it was a few different techniques combined. For this lockdown shot, it was way easier since no tracking was needed. In Photoshop, I created the outline of the foot, and for the splashes, it's a CG splash and a practical one that I recorded with my own foot just to get a basis of how it will actually look, and I aligned them with each foot as they moved. I filmed the leg by setting up my green screen and just stomped down with one leg. I keyed this out, blurred it a ton, and added levels to darken it all the way to black, and then flipped it for each footstep to properly match the reflections. Next and more challenging was the moving shot of the feet appearing. I did this again by positioning the light correctly, pouring out the water, and then I did a camera track in After Effects. I repeated the same process as the lockdown shot and changed the splashes to make them feel a bit different. I love the way these turned out, and this shot in particular feels extra real since it's actually moving. To make Frank get bloated with water, I tracked his face and animated the swelling with Liquify using the actual bloat tool. I also attached a CG blood asset to the mouth and turned it black for a slimy effect. For the levitation, I shot 2 plates, one clean with the camera moving, and then one action with the same movement. For this, Frank was holding himself up on the infamous stool that we always have him lay on, and my idea was to paint out the stool, but the shadows were just not working in my favor, so it just didn't work. And instead, I had to roto out his legs, fake a shadow, and put that on the clean plate. I think the reason why it looks passable is since the lighting was the same since we filmed it in the same environment, but I think if we did it over a green screen, it would not look as good. For the reflection scare, I just shot the water reflection and then filmed Frank from a back angle and a front angle, both in front of the green screen to make his reflection and the over-the-shoulder shot. The apparition was a bit hard to make fit in the environment, but I did this with a bit of color grading and blur, and the actual apparition itself was purely made in Photoshop. As always, Frank killed it with the score and brought what we call the Frankie Classic, and the sound design was really fun for me to create, especially since I got to work with water sounds. This is definitely the shortest film we've ever made, but still packs all of the classic BHP things that we love, like these moments. We're trying to make films more frequently, so I hope to see you guys sooner than later in the next one. Thank you for watching.